So over that course of 2 years, you said you reached out a few times. Was this at the back of your mind? Did you tell Randy right away? How does
No,
that progress for you?
no, it was always in the back of my mind. It wasn't, I don't even in the back of my mind, it was in the forefront of my mind all the time. It just, I kind of spiraled down. I think I was depressed for the 2 years. I didn't know, I wanted to tell, I just didn't know how. It just, I didn't, was just, I don't know.
No, I knew I could tell something was wrong. I was like, maybe he's just getting older, and because he was not active at all anymore, he pretty much was on the couch all the time. Like definitely, like I think depressed, and I didn't know what was going
Yeah,
on. I had no idea that there was this big secret
yeah,
looming.
So I'll
Like,
put it out there. Athena was conceived while you two were married, correct?
yeah.
yes.
Okay. I know this is a hard, difficult thing to talk about, but I mean, I think that's one of the biggest reasons. I've been married 32 years, just to put it out there. So marriage has its ups and downs and moments and building of trust over time and ebbs and flows. I guess that's what I'll just say. Marriage ebbs and flows. But that's really the biggest thing, I think, for people, the shame of how we were conceived and what it does to the family that we're reaching out to if we know or find out that we're the product of something when somebody was married, because that puts an extra burden on the two of you and your marriage.
It was hard. I mean, it was, the day he told me that was like the worst day of my life. My world came crashing down. It was yeah, totally out of the unexpected. I don't know. It was trying to keep. I was trying to stay afloat, but family is like the most important thing to me. So I was trying to keep everything together. One of the hard truths for me, though, I think he had just told me, and I asked what her name was because he kept saying he had a daughter. I'm like, what's her name? And he told me it was Athena. And I was like, so you've been talking to her? And he said, no. And that hit just as hard as finding out about the infidelity. Because one truth I held about him was that he was a good dad. And suddenly that didn't seem real either. So that hurt too. I think it was a few days. He told me on a Wednesday afternoon. I don't think we ate or slept for like those for 2 days. And then that Friday, he told me that Athena was going to go meet his brother for the first time. And I was like, she can't be the first family. She can't meet them first. I said, you have to go and see her. You have to make this right. And
So I just want to pause, Randy, because I've talked to lots of people, and even when there isn't the infidelity, the wives of new NPE dads have more often than not, I would say, a really hard time with bringing someone new into the family and how that impacts the children that they raised and the relationship with their husband. And so I just think you're amazing for your reaction.
well, I'm unusual. I fall into a lot of different. I fill a lot of these categories. My father was adopted, so I've done the ancestry test to try to find that family and been told to let sleeping dogs lie. So I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be rejected. My father was mixed race and my mother's white, and my grandfather disowned my mother for marrying my father. So I was a ghost in the house, wasn't acknowledged by him until my father died when I was 11. So I know what it's like to be denied just for being born. So I've just always had a really soft spot for children, and you know and I know what it's like to really want your dad from all these things. So it's just like family is so important, and my daughters are adopted, and I know how and we keep in touch with their family, but they still like grieve for that loss of their family. So I have all these elements that I just understand and am empathetic to people wanting to know who they are and where they're from.
Well, and really, these are two separate issues to deal with as a family, right? Between the two of you regarding the past that occurred, that's one thing
Right.
that needs discussion and healing and rebuilding of trust. But the child, which I know you're an adult, but no other word for it, but child, I mean, that's a whole separate issue. And the fact that you could separate those two issues is is really a great approach.
Yeah, it was hard. Like I was trying to keep, I don't know, I was trying to rebuild us, trying to, reach out and have, build this new relationship with her. I think it was on the way though, like Kirk, when I told him he needed to go, I've always told Athena I wish she could have seen his face when I told him he needed to go, because he was like, really? Like he was so like, I think relieved and surprised and excited to get to go and see her. And he literally like ran to her. I think he had his bags packed in like 5 minutes and out the door in like in like 10 minutes. He really wanted it. He really wanted to be there. And so on the way after he left, I texted Athena and I told her I supported, I wanted them to have a relationship and I wouldn't stand in the way of it. And from there, we just started chatting. And I think we both had a lot of hurt and pain we were dealing with. So we were able to connect on that level. We just started chatting and have chatted ever since.
I love that. I mean, I think having that as a spouse, I mean, being able to support, because he needs support too. I mean, it's a lot for him to process. It's a lot for you to process. It's a lot for everybody to process, right? And we all need support in these spaces and to know that we're still loved. Even Kirk, right? Like you have to feel like it's going to be okay between the two of you.
Yeah. And I think like Randy said, is, you know, part of healing us is, you know, Athena is part of healing us as well. So
Mhm. Recently, about last week, had a dad reach out and he said, I found out yesterday I have a daughter and I'm looking for a therapist for my wife and I. She was conceived before they were married, but his wife was still having a really hard time.
Well, it is a
And
very big change to the family dynamic. Like this
mhm,
is kind of, and it's like almost like a blended family. So
mhm.
people that come together, I mean, it's a change in your time and attention, and I guess that can be threatening to some people. But it definitely like we definitely do things very differently. We do vacation differently. We do just our daily routine, and it changes everything. So somebody that's not secure, I think, in their family dynamic, it's going to be hard for them. And I think especially if they feel like they're not included, it is important that everybody's included. And Athena's been very inclusive. Like she talks to everybody. It's not like they've got this separate, thing that we don't know about. So it's very much a we.
I think it's great to how, yeah, like she said, is how inclusive everything has been now. Athena's on all of our, like, the family group chat, and the girls are always giving her a hard time, and yeah, it's that built a good dynamic there.
Yeah.
I think what you mentioned about security or secure, I mean, I always like to talk about the fact that you have to be in a strong place in your relationship when something like this comes up. The fact that he called and said, I need a therapist for us as a couple to try to navigate this, I think really shows a
Yeah.
lot of forethought about that. I said that Kirk needs reassurance, but so does Randy, so does the wife, right? Like this doesn't change how I feel about you and those sorts of things for that security purpose that you mentioned, Randy.
One of my favorite things that Randy has called kind of like the blending of the family was, there's going to be some growing pains. That was kind of one of the first things that she had said that I knew was going to be okay. She said, it's going to work out, but there's going to be some growing pains. And I just think that's a great way to kind of explain, having to, because you're growing, but that's going to put tension on relationships all across the board, if that makes sense.
100%. It's not all unicorns and rainbows.
No. It was
the first six, the first 6 months after meeting Athena were very difficult, and Randy was like the glue that made us all stick. Athena and I were on call. We would be on calls nightly, We would have arguments, and Randy was like, you guys are just so stubborn. Just, she would text Athena and then she would tell me, she's like, you guys just need to stop and, apologize or do whatever.
They're very similar, definitely. They have the same personality and the same tendencies and kind of how they handle emotion. And they both stubborn and dig in their heels. It was a lot. It's been a lot of work. I think that's something people need to recognize and know that, well, any relationship is a lot of work. But if you want a close one, it's especially with the years and the pain and the hurt, it's a lot of work. And you really kind of need somebody else encouraging it. I think it would be easy to like, there were many times Athena was like, I don't think I can do this. And I said, that's not an option. I said, we're in this. I never let that be an option. I said, it's going to be hard, but we're going to figure it out. Early on, I said, I'm not going through this fire for nothing. We're going to figure this out and make it work. And I told her too, pretty early on, like she's the silver lining to all this, all the ugliness. Her and the family are the silver lining. So it's hard work, but it's been worth it. And I think we're finally to a place where they're not arguing, they're not fighting.
I also sense so much love in your family, and I think that is really the basis. It's hard work. Everything's hard. Like you said, relationships are hard. They require work especially over time. But you have that so important base of love.